Is my hair okay, babe? We were just talking about mine, but this isn't about me today. It's about you. Can you hear fine on there?
I can hear you. Okay, yeah, that's
there,
a lot better.
Turn yours up a little bit. So you guys were telling me that you were just in Las Vegas. You were quarantining for 2 weeks.
Yes, we were in Vegas. It's so nice out there. It's so peaceful.
How is it with everything that's going on, like COVID and all that?
You know, surprisingly, everything out there is not busy. Everything is like spread out. So there's like hardly any traffic.
Oh, wow.
There's no one on the roads whatsoever. Grocery stores, everything is stocked. No one's freaking
kidding.
out. Yeah, it's so much nicer. As soon as I came back here to LA, I almost had a panic attack in the grocery store. Like, I had people bumping into me. I'm just like, oh, excuse you. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, is Vegas mostly people that have like vacations homes out there and maybe they're just not visiting, or
No,
for the most part?
There's a lot of homes out there.
It's just a lot more quiet.
So where we're staying at, we're staying at, it's very family orientated. So we're staying in Summerlin.
Okay, I've heard of it.
It's like 20 minutes away from the strip, but it's so nice. You gotta check that out.
I will. Yeah, we usually do. I'm not really a big fan of Vegas. I don't care for like clubs or gambling or anything like that. Or day drinking, to be honest. I get tired by 9 o'clock as it is. But we do a lot of like Old Town Vegas stuff.
I've never been to Old Town Vegas.
What is it called? Fremont Street. Old Town's cool. It's really, it's like there's the main strip of Vegas, and it's kind of a lot, and then Old Town Vegas is a little bit more mellow. It's still kind of crazy. But
is there still like casinos and bars out there?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, there's casinos and stuff. I just don't know what's going on right now with everything. But well, now you guys are back here.
Yes.
Do you have plans for Thanksgiving, or were you guys quarantining for that? Or
we were planning on seeing my family, but I tried getting an appointment to do a COVID test, and we weren't successful. So I'm not gonna.
So you're not gonna do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my stepmom, she's pregnant too, and she's due in December. So and my grandma's gonna be there, and she's like 80. Like, I just don't want to.
Yeah, that's good of you. It's responsible of you. I'm going up to, like I was just telling you, I'm going up to San Francisco next week. We're getting tested, I think, tomorrow morning for a 24-hour result, and then based on that.
So you got your results already? I mean, not your results.
I'm doing it tomorrow.
Okay,
I got
you're
the
doing
test. Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be back on time?
I guess they said it was 24 hours. So they said by like Thursday morning, if I go, today's Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday test. Yeah, by like Thursday afternoon, they said I'm going to Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, that's the one I tried to
you
get.
Couldn't get anything?
No, everything is completely booked. Yeah, and I checked yesterday morning.
Are you looking for like a specific time only that works? Because when I went, it showed like thousands of available time.
I think I just didn't get lucky. Cause
damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we went there, or when like I passed by Dodger Stadium the last couple of days, there's a line like that is wrapping around the entire stadium. So everyone's urgently getting
We've
tested.
been to that one before, and the one time that we were in line, it probably took like an hour and a half.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many times have you been tested since?
3.
3 times.
I
haven't been tested yet at all. I know.
Have you gotten sick?
No, I haven't been sick in like 2.5 years. Like, as far as like no colds, no flu, no sickness, nothing.
Wow.
So I don't know. I mean, when COVID started, I was pretty diligent with like being quarantined. So we didn't go anywhere. We stayed in 24 hours a day. We didn't do anything. Me and my ex at the time, we just kind of shopped and cooked and stayed home. And I just haven't felt the need to do it, I guess, which is probably not the best thing to be admitting on.
Well, I've been working on like production with my team, so I needed to get so that everyone is safe and protected.
Yeah. So production with the team leads us in a perfect segue to your music.
Yeah.
Because I usually like to kind of start from where everything began, because people kind of see your music on YouTube, on social media. It's what you promote, but they don't get to see the work that you put in or where it all kind of started. So I want this to be a platform for you to kind of talk to the people and tell them where you came from.
Hello, people.
Hello, people. This is Bianca Varela.
Varela.
So there's
Bianca
no
Varela.
accent. There's no accent to it.
I mean, if you want, you can be fancy with it. Varela. Bianca Varela. The Spanish side.
What's your ethnicity?
I'm Mexican, Spanish, and Native American.
Do you think that played an influence on like you being more musically inclined?
Yeah.
Did you grow up with a lot of music?
I grew up with a lot of music. I actually have been performing since I was in kindergarten.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What was kindergarten?
So I played Mary Had a Little Lamb, and then Take Me Out to the Ball Game on the piano.
Nice.
I was terrified. Oh my God, I was so terrified. That was my first time ever performing, and I just remember like freezing and being really scared and just like not remembering anything that came out of my mouth. But I did really good, apparently.
You just blacked out.
I blacked out.
Blacked out and
I
everything.
totally blacked out. But yeah, that was my first performance.
Do you feel that experience kind of set the pace for how you're going to be musically? Do you still kind of get those nervous jitters? Because I'm sure as an artist you do at times. Of course, it's never going to go away.
Yeah, it never goes away. For me, it's... So when I was in kindergarten and when I was barely starting, my parents really pushed me to like continue to perform because I was really good at it. I just didn't like the fact how I was uncomfortable doing it, you know, like that was the hardest part. As I got older, I learned to be more comfortable on stage. So just embracing the presence of the audience, like being grounded on stage. And I learned that as I got older.
Right. Was that the toughest part for you, is getting kind of more comfortable in front of people?
Yeah, because I was a really shy kid. Okay. You know, I was in my bedroom, like drawing, painting, or making up like a dance routine or writing a song. Like I was always in my room, like creating.
So it was you were already like the artist before you became an artist. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was painting. I would paint my room. Like I would sit in front of my computer and rewatch Britney Spears or Missy Elliott. Yeah, like just their dance routines. I'm like, okay. Like just trying to memorize the dance routines.
Was it more interesting for you to kind of focus on being a more overall, like well-rounded artist as opposed to like either being a singer, a songwriter, a performer?
See, at that time, I was just dabbling with everything. So I was in musical theater. So that's where I learned how I got my stage presence and working with the audience. So from there, and then I was just interested in music. Like I had my favorite artists that I loved to listen to, and I would try to mimic how they would sing, and from there, from the musical theater aspect, I got tired of it as I got older. I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Like I'm not extra. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not fake. I want to be real. I want to sing something that I can relate to my audience. So that's when I started writing music and being my own artist.
How old was that, would you say?
21.
Okay, so from kindergarten to 21, you were kind of still trying to figure out what you wanted in music.
Yes, exactly. But although I will say, when I was 8 years old, I had a guitar, and my dad's best friend, El Baca, he would come over like 3 times a week, and he would bring his guitar and teach me how to play guitar, and he taught me how to songwrite and how to improvise, and I would spend hours with this dude, like months and months at a time, because I just enjoyed it so much. So he was the one that taught me how to songwrite.
What is it about songwriting that you think that kind of it's not as easy as just writing like some things that rhyme, right? It's like you ideally want to be able to tell a story, or
so they say if you know how to write poetry, that's a good way to start, because it allows you to be playful with your words and rhymes. But for me, I like to write from experience. I like to write from other people's perspective as well. That's why I like to live my life for a certain time and then go into the studio and write.
Got it.
Yeah, because if I'm not inspired, if everything that is coming out I don't like, I just won't.
That makes sense. That's fair. Was there a break in your kind of timeline where you realized, like, hey, I'm actually good at this? I actually want to do this.
Yes.
There was an epiphany moment?
There was an epiphany moment. So I was in a practice room. I was in New York at this time, and I wasn't studying my lines for musical theater. I was just in the practice room in the piano, just writing songs. And then just like a thought came into my head saying, like, maybe you should become your own artist. And I was like, everything just stopped. I was like, oh,
it happened.
It happened. I was just like, and I was like, yeah, all right. So from that moment, I flew back to LA, and I just started asking a lot of questions. I'm like, how do I record a song? I need to learn how to do this. I like, just asking.
You did the work.
Yeah, I did the work. I tried to figure it out. And then I found a team that really believed in me. And this was when I was barely starting too. So I was barely figuring out what I wanted to create, the sound I wanted to come out with. And from there on out, it just exploded.
It just kind of turned into itself. That's great. So with developing a team, when you came back, were you first kind of focusing on how do you want to develop yourself as an artist? Or you started to find the people that are like, hey, you have a videographer, you have makeup, you have...
Oh, no.
What's the kind of team that you built?
So, okay. The team that I built at first was show me how to record myself. Like, it was just an engineer. Yeah. It was just an engineer. Someone that was dabbling with Pro Tools. I was like, teach me how to do this. And he taught me how to work Pro Tools. And then I learned how to record myself. And then from there, I was introduced to producers. And then I was collaborating with producers and then writing on their tracks.
Right.
So it just went step at a time. I wasn't focused on the branding aspect until, I would say, now.
Pretty recently.
Yeah, just recent.
Is it that you were kind of more focused on getting the stuff, like the bass down first before you started to focus on everything else? Yeah, that makes sense. That's fair.
I wanted everything to be clean, nice, and polished, professional. So anyone that hears my music, they're like, okay, she's put into work.
Right. You're not just putting out bullshit.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Did you see a difference from like yourself from when you had that epiphany to when you started to work with these people?
Yeah.
The change in your sound? Was it the change in your style?
And me as a person,
right.
You know, like obviously I don't work with those people anymore and you know, they're doing their thing and I'm doing my thing. And now I'm at a higher professional level where I have more professional people on my side.
Yeah.
So I've grown.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was the development, did you find a sound specifically where you kind of focus more on pop music? Were you ever interested in doing something like Ricardo with the house music or?
So that's funny that you say that because I did start with house music.
Oh, okay, so that was the intro.
Yeah, that was the intro. I would sing like hooks for DJs, and I would songwrite for. It's so stupid. I was like horrible at it. Why? If you were to hear it, like now I'm just like, oh my god, girl, what are you doing? Hear it now. I'll send me some stuff. I'll send it to you. It's pretty funny.
I'm gonna ask for song selections from you. I got to see what you're talking about. So what was it about that you were kind of not so... Listen, like hindsight's always 20/20 because when you look back on something, it's always like, I could have done this different. This wasn't me. This wasn't... What was it about that didn't...
From looking back now, it was a good move for me because I didn't want to be just a singer. You know how girls that are on their tracks, they're not really known as like the artist, just like a singer.
A singer on someone else's track.
Yes,
right. Okay.
Exactly. So I didn't want to brand myself like that, and I didn't want to come out with stuff like that at first, because then that would make people confused.
Right.
Like, okay, so are you your artist or are you a feature artist? Like, what is it that you do? So I took all that down and then started making my own music.
Is that a common, not fear, but is that a common concern when you start to do certain things in music that you kind of don't want to get stuck in that little bubble, or you don't want to get classified as a backtrack singer on something?
Yeah, I mean...
in your experience, I guess.
I've never done that. Well, I've never positioned myself to do that, but that's something that I would not want to focus on because it's not my work.
Right.
But if I can bring my own to the piece, then yes, that'd be tight.
Are they usually pretty flexible?
Yeah.
Okay, no one's pretty rigid with just like, hey, this is how we want it.
No.
Oh, okay.
If that was the case, I can't.
You're not gonna work with them.
Yeah, I can't work with people like that. Your mind needs to be opened.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you're stressed out and when you're worried about kind of creating something in someone else's image, I feel like that kind of takes away from how good you can really be.
Yeah, and I also think too many hands in the cookie jar, you know, might have a stomach ache.
That's a good one. Well, I'll eat all the cookies in the cookie jar.
I'll just like too many cookies.
Yeah.
Like,
So after that, you kind of decided like, hey, I don't want to be stuck in this.
Yeah.
And you focus more on producing, songwriting, and you wanted to put out your own work. Did you kind of look for, I want to create an EP, I want to work with someone, I want to create one song to start? Okay,
so when I started releasing... Light It Up was like my very first track. Light It Up, Eyes on Me, and Summer 18. So I had producers reach out to me through SoundCloud, and from there I was like listening to everyone's tracks and beats, and then I just try to trust my ear. Whatever I feel inspired by a track, like I'll just jump on it and I'm like, this is, you're coming home with me type deal. I'm sorry, can you repeat your question again?
Well, was it did you see the difference from like when you were saying, hey, I don't want to be involved specifically in like house music or be someone on a backtrack, and you decided to kind of become your own artist? Was that the point where you became like, I guess, an independent artist, and you're focusing on your music, your branding, your sound?
Yeah.
You wanted to put stuff out that was kind of mirroring what you were?
For me, yeah, because I didn't want to not necessarily be someone else's shadow. I wanted to create something that was going to be unique for me. And I knew that in order for me to be established as an artist, I need to have my own sound.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
how long did it take you? I mean, I think everyone's kind of evolving, and your sound's always going to evolve. But was it like, what's the difference that you've seen from when you started, when you were singing? Sorry, what were the first ones? Mary Had a Little Lamb and stuff like that.
Yeah, Mary Had a Little Lamb.
And you were kind of you were still trying to figure out what you were going to do in music, and then you started to produce yourself and see like, hey, I can actually do this, or hey, I'm actually good at this.
I think I got more edgy.
Like personally, you as a person.
Me as a person, and also like in the very beginning of my career, everything was still very whimsical. I was still caught up in that musical theater. Even my lyrics were kind of cheesy.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
You know, so like I had to, I guess, get more edge, which is life, you know, and then, you know, constantly practicing and like figuring out my flow and like, you know, just like the sound.
Yeah, you focused on the artistic part
yes,
of it.
exactly.
Yeah. The whimsical and Broadway and performance type of stage thing wasn't really your personality, I don't think.
No, it was not. Yeah. It wasn't. And I had to get out of it because I was training for a long time, like a really long time.
Right. Did you do like professional training? Did you kind of train on your own or practice with like your dad's
It was
friend
professional. It was professional. I studied musical theater in college, so I did that. I did tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical. You know what I mean? Acting behind camera, on stage, like as a group project. You know, like so I've done this, and then on top of that, like when I was younger, I did musical theater, and I had vocal coaches. You know, so like I was constantly in dance classes too. So I've been doing this for like a really long time.
Right.
I think I was just missing. I think I was just so caught up in the performance aspect. I wasn't really focused on me, you know, like really digging deep and figuring out what is Bianca, what does she want to say. Those were the things I had to like focus on.
Absolutely. Do you think that as an artist, that's just as important as finding your sound, is finding honestly who you are as an artist? I feel like that should come first.
Yes. Just knowing who you are as a person. Once you know who you are, you know what you want to represent, and you know what you want to show through your music. That's how it should be. It's not the opposite, because then you're just, you know, there's no purpose in your work.
Yeah. Let's talk about both sides, because I really like that comparison of people who are artists in the industry now that I feel like don't really know who they are as an artist. So in your advice, your experience, what is it about someone that is getting into it, I guess, for the wrong reasons, where they just want to put out music where they might not be able to succeed if they're not finding their real sounder themselves?
I mean, it's not going to work.
I agree.
You know, if you don't put solid foundation, you know, what you create is going to tumble and fall. You know, the real work comes from within, and then it comes from figuring out your goals and being disciplined in those goals, and then work, and then everything else comes together.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, you're wasting your time, and you're gonna figure that out, you know, the hard way.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And I you know, I see people that they want to do certain things, but then they're not really focused in it. My prayers go out to you guys, whoever that is up there.
Whoever is listening that hasn't found themselves yet.
Yes.
Living proof. I mean, I do agree with you that I think if you're kind of just shooting fish in a barrel, trying to aim it, and you don't have a vision, you don't have a sound, you don't have a brand that you're trying to push, there's only so much you can do. But I think that dilutes the industry a little bit, because someone like you who has an idea of who they are is going to be, I mean, not going up against, but you're essentially in the same market or in the same sound space as somebody else who isn't. So they're kind of taken away from the real artists. So
yeah, I hear you.
How do you feel like navigating that is kind of changed for you? Because obviously you're more in depth with you're more in tune with yourself now.
I am, and now I'm connecting with people that are more professional, because I changed my mindset.
Right.
And I changed my mindset and I put in the work. So the people that I surround myself with, it's like 10 times better than the people that I worked with before.
Right.
But without those people, I would have not learned, and I would have not gotten to this point where I am now. So every lesson is a learning lesson, and it's really important to learn from your mistakes, because I've done a lot of mistakes, especially in my career, like a lot.
What are some, do you think, that kind of did affect you, and some that maybe didn't play as much of a role as you put, like the pressure on yourself in certain times?
So I was, in the very beginning, I was very focused on the art, the content, not necessarily the business side of it. That's where I had to learn and grow from. I was working with a couple people for like 2 years, and we were creating an album. Long story short, I had to take him, I had to get lawyers involved and fight for my music. And because I didn't have like a written document between him and me and the producer, none of that would have happened. But I had to learn.
So if you had
a signed document, nothing would have happened. But I had to, get a lawyer involved,
right.
And then
just musical rights and the
musical
fact that
rights, and I had to buy him out essentially.
Damn.
So like there's people that will use you, and it's really difficult, especially as a woman, to be in this industry.
Okay. What is it that playing a woman kind of differentiates? Do you mean from the business side of it, where you feel like maybe sometimes?
Well, just personally for me, like I've had a lot of people that have dropped me because I wouldn't be, romantically involved with them.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
dude. It's some shady
that's
shit.
sad.
So I'm not gonna do that.
Of course not.
I'm like, okay, so you want my body, you don't believe in my talent.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like, okay.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I've been through that quite like a lot.
Yeah, so you formed a hard shell. You've
yes.
had to go through trials and tribulations
yes.
to get to the point where you are now. And that's what
yes.
I feel like a lot of people don't see, because people see the music videos, people see the releases, but they don't know that you have to deal with people who are trying to get, for the wrong reasons, people that are trying to take you. You have to take them to court for that shit. So it's always a process, and I just want to be able to give you a platform to where you can kind of educate the people, like, hey, in your experience, because you've been through this, so what can you tell people, let's say not so much like the kindergarten to maybe like high school people, because I think they're still trying to figure out themselves, but for the artists who decide like, hey, I want to do this in music, let's say like young women, what is it that early on that they should be like being able to navigate, now that you have the experience and you can kind of give that on to them?
I would have to say always protect yourself legally. Always have a signed agreement before working on any kind of music. There always has to be something written down, number one. Number two, find yourself a really good team. People that are genuine and that care for your safety. Because there's, you can get caught up with, bad people. It's
just like one bad seed in the group just has a different kind of direction that they want for the project.
Exactly. I mean, that I had that one bad seed too, and I didn't see it, and I was working with this person for 2 years. His colors showed after, when the music was completed. Oh,
it sucks.
Right?
That sucks. Is it that they see what the potential is, and then they just kind of like they snap on something, or they decide like, hey, this was actually my plan the entire time?
I think it was a plan the entire time, because he himself is professional and he knows what he's doing.
So he kind of had it set up for himself.
Exactly.
Got it.
Hold on, let me move this.
Yes. Oh, sorry, you're in the sun.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't have much shading on here, but
okay.
I figured
it's beautiful out here.
Thank you. Yes, I got kicked out of doing it downstairs, so I just had to find another space to do it.
And they're going to kick you out again?
They probably wouldn't be surprised. I'm leaving this place in December anyway, so now I got to find a new place to do the goddamn
Where
thing.
are you going?
I have no idea. Maybe somewhere in Highland Park.
Okay.
I think it's just the rent here in Glendale with everything, and everything's closed up here too. So the room is closed, the gyms are closed, the Wi-Fi, everything. So what you're paying for in rent, all the amenities,
you're
is
like,
for
where?
nothing.
Yeah, where are the amenities?
Yeah, exactly. You're paying extra amount of rent just to be able to stay in your apartment all day. So
yeah,
it's been this whole thing with management, and
that's not cool, dude.
It's not. So I'm excited to get out of here and start new. But starting new sounds like something that is kind of important, and it helps people start fresh. So once
Yes.
you dealt with the guy who kind of screwed you over after those 2 years, what was it that you were looking for? Like, you knew what to not search for in a producer?
Dude, I was depressed.
Because you did get screwed over.
I did get screwed over, and I fought. So I wrote 17 songs with this person. I fought for one song because I absolutely believed in it, and I was like, this is my song, and this song is going to like take me somewhere. Right. And it did, and it is, and it's still growing by the grace of God. Thank you.
Was that the Cold Heart?
Cold Heart.
Cold Heart.
Yeah, I fought for that one.
And you got it. And that's
I got
your most
it.
viewed on YouTube. It's streams.
Streams, yes. It's almost at 100K streams on Spotify.
You fought for that for that with good reason.
I did. If you haven't checked it out.
Where do you prefer? Is there a preference of like where you're gonna try to get your target audience to go? Does it matter for Spotify, YouTube, Apple,
everything?
Whatever? Everything.
Yeah.
As long as they can get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All platforms. All my music is on all platforms.
So your first song was which one again?
My first song was Light It Up.
Light It Up. What's the difference from Light It Up to where Cold Heart is? Because you're definitely, I can't see you being the same artist you were from where you first started. So what was it about Light It Up that, what was that creative process like? How did you like it in the end? Do you look back on that as hindsight and think like you did with the house music stuff?
Okay. For both tracks, I absolutely love the way I wrote the song. Both of them. Like, I think both of those songs are like my best work.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah, like I absolutely love those songs. As far as my writing, the Light It Up is more like romantic, and then Cold Heart is more
sultry,
edgy, sultry, like just like really weird vibes. So I went from like urban to like urban trippy vibes.
Got it.
That was a difference.
Did it skip somewhere in the middle? I mean, you had Summer 18, you had All White, Broken, Make Your Move.
Yeah, I went from like a DJ to pop to urban trippy vibes to now rhythmic pop with
rhythmic pop.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Has that just kind of naturally developed? It's super organic. You're not forcing anything.
Yeah, no. Because if I hear a beat, I'm like, ooh. I get excited. I'm like, oh, I want to write to. I'm like, ooh,
okay,
ooh. I'm like, I want to play with this one. So, I mean, that's how I pick my music. As far as my writing and my melodies, I think I honestly I can create a lot of melodies. That's one thing I'm really good at. It's making melodies on a track.
Are you able to like find yourself more in certain like songs? You're like, I know I'm good at this, so I can focus a little bit more effort onto it. Okay.
Yes.
Has that helped with the professional training that you got? Is that where that's coming from? Is that kind of innate or?
It is actually. It is because I know what I know what my voice does best in a song. So I'm really good at ballads. I have a mezzo soprano, and I also come from a opera background. I can sing opera.
Leave that out. Yeah. How does that play into everything? Where did that even come into your?
It's since
opera background. Interesting.
Let me see how old was I when I started? I think I was 19. I was 19 years old. Yeah, when I started.
It's like 2 years.
College. Ago. Yeah, when I started college, that's when I started my opera training. But prior to that, it was just more like urban.
Do you prefer? Did you like the opera? I mean, I'm sure it's way different than urban and R&B.
If it wasn't for the opera training, I would not be able to hit certain notes in my songs now.
Interesting. I could see that. Yeah.
And I can do like weird stuff with it. It's great.
Do they focus on like being able to physically control certain parts of the throat? Because I had an opera singer on the podcast, and I just don't understand like.
Yeah, dude.
How
it's you really have to think it in your mind because your vocal folds are like a rubber band. So when you sing high, your vocal folds stretch, and that's what it is.
Okay, I can see that.
It just goes up and down.
And it makes the sound kind of.
Yes, and then you
tighter.
have your 3 registers. You have your chest, your mix, and then your head.
Right. Do you prefer one or the other? Does it matter?
Yeah, mix and head.
Mix and head. So you're not much of a chest singer.
Yeah, because I'll be singing like this.
Is that what it is? I feel like old like Latin singers have a lot of like mi amor. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Salinas. So you kind of you have a general natural understanding of what you're good at, how you're good at it. You've gone through trials and tribulations. It really does take that amount of time.
It does.
Right?
It does, because without the training, without the work, how are you gonna know what you're best at? You know?
Is it common for artists? I mean, I know there are artists that like blow up and they become something out of nowhere with like a song or something, but it's probably likely that those people have also had 10 to 12 years. Like, I don't think people come into the industry like, hey, year one, I'm going to start singing, and then they just fucking blow up.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think so. I think there had to be some kind of interest as a child.
Right.
It always starts when you're a baby. You know what your passion is when you're a child, and then your parents just like throw you in there, and then it just...
Some do and some don't. I mean, at least it's nice to hear that you had supportive parents that were like, hey, you're good at this, you're good, and keep doing it. For me, as like a Middle Eastern...
I honestly think that my parents were working too much, so they decided to put me in some kind of daycare. Yeah. Some kind of something. Go sing.
Yeah, that worked out, hey.
No, it did. It did. It really did. I wouldn't be the artist that I am today without all of that training.
Oh, and that's one of the questions I wanted to. So how has family, friends, loved ones kind of help you develop as an artist? What was it that, I know a lot of people that they come from troubled pasts or they come from troubled homes, and that makes for good music. But it seems like that you kind of had the support. So what was their support with friends and Ricardo, everyone kind of supporting you? How has that helped you develop?
My background was pretty rough. My parents were always supportive. Like I said, they would take me to, musical theater classes, choir, like everything. They always pushed me and they always believed in me. Even my friends, like even the people that are around me, they've always supported me. They always see the potential in there, and that's really helped me. That's really gave me the, okay, yeah. Like, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, self-confidence.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I know there's some kids out there that don't have that kind of support. And I can't even imagine without the support. But then again, it's like you do what you love to do at the end of the day. But without their support, I don't think I would have pushed myself even further.
Yeah, I agree.
I honestly think that. Yeah, like even my mentors too, like they're just constantly motivating me and grooming me and making sure I'm in the right direction. So that's always
great.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you have a good support system.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I
Especially
really
with everything
do.
That's going on.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, quarantine was pretty rough.
Yeah, that's another one. What challenges or what kind of had to change for you during like the pandemic and quarantine? Because being able to do shows where you're so used to being on stage and kind of performing and meeting with other people, and then March hits and everything just comes to a standstill, but you're still a musician and you're still an artist. So what kind of snapped in your head to change from there? So
before this whole entire quarantine started, I had a 5-month role plan. And I just had a new manager on board in my team. So we were going to do 2020 was supposed to be the year where I was supposed to be performing and doing all this stuff. But then literally we put everything on hold. And I'm glad that it did, because my knowledge now and my focus is way better compared to like 8 months ago. But
you got a little more zen over the time.
I did. I really did, and I focused my goals more so on what mattered and what didn't matter.
What are some of those things, if you don't mind me asking? What's something that doesn't matter as much that you kind of thought mattered strongly, or you put more focus into something, and then when quarantine came, you're like, hey, this is actually something I can do without?
I wanted to put everything out in a rush.
Before.
Just
to get the music out.
Yeah. But it doesn't work like that. You really have to put in time and effort and a scheduled time, and that's when it's going to do its best. And I'm the type of person that likes to be in control, especially of my work,
That's the story of my life.
So that was really hard for me. I'm like, what do you mean there's quarantine? What do you mean we have to stay inside? Like,
no.
Yeah, no. It was really bad. It was really difficult for me, because then I had to stay, I had to reflect on myself, and that was really uncomfortable too.
Yep, because that's not something with a super active life like we had before everything started. It was really, you didn't really have the time to like be introspective or sit there for days on end. And even if you're like, you have someone with you and you guys are preoccupied, there's still a time in that quarantine where you're just like, okay, like now what? Now what do I think about?
Exactly.
Now what do I do?
Exactly.
Yeah. Did that help with the songwriting, or did that help more with like?
You know, I only wrote one song during this whole entire year, and it's my quarantine song. But it was just basically a song that I needed for myself.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
it's a great song.
That, right?
Yeah, it's a great song. We spent this whole entire quarantine just working on that one song.
Is it out yet?
No, it's not.
That's the release that's coming out in March.
That is another.
That's another one. Okay.
Yeah. So remember, I told you that we had to put everything on hold.
Right.
That's for Make Your Move. So
Got it.
Make Your Move is gonna be out in March.
Oh, okay. That's the release that's out in March.
Yes.
Got it. Tell me about that one. Why March, or what is it that you guys are trying to work on for it to be like the big release of 2021? Because that's essentially going to be one of the first things you do.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be released this year in February, but you know, the whole entire world was ending.
Yeah.
So we decided to, you know, make a music video. We have a music video for it as well. We have a lot of promo shots ready to be released for the top of the year.
That's exciting.
You know, fresh start.
Right.
Clean slate. Let's just do the top of the year 2021. Now that we have a better understanding on the direction that we're going, and it seems like the live, what is it called?
The live acts that you're
the Twitch the Twitch live streaming. Yes,
yeah.
That's gonna be the whole, you know, new deal. So now we're trying to move to that direction.
Interesting. With streaming, I know I've seen it with like house music DJs where like you go on and play a set for an hour. For you as an artist, would it be like you would kind of create like a mini concert where you would focus on like your songs that you've done before?
Yeah.
Got it.
So it would just be that, basically like a performance for you.
Isn't it an interesting experience now that you're doing everything kind of just with a camera as opposed to just being in front of people? Does that change your energy level? Does that change how you react with your songs?
It does.
I feel like it should.
You know, because, you know, when the crowd's there, it's more exciting.
Yeah, you're feeding off of
it. The energy. Now it's just like camera.
Yeah, and let's see how hard I can hit this.
I'm gonna be like,
like
and the camera's like, you're doing great, sweetie.
Yeah, exactly. You should have like little flashcards or have Ricardo hold it. You're doing great, or everyone's standing up cheering. Yeah. Or you can print like cutouts of people and make like a little thing. So there's someone, just bouncing. Yeah, hell yeah. Hey, you got to work with what you got, right?
No, 100%. Yesterday he was recording a live mix, and I'm just like washing the dishes, like.
Yeah, you gotta. There's got to be someone there to kind of show that. Oh, okay, someone's feeling my energy. I'm not just tripping.
Yeah.
Has that helped with your being a little bit of a control freak? Because now you kind of have the time to develop on it and really focus on your marketing, focus on the content and how you want to put it out.
Yes. Now, oh man, I've changed so much. Honestly, I'm so glad for this quarantine. Like, it's really changed me as a person. Like, I care more about my friends and my family and in my music and how I want to move forward here on out, you know, with my career and everything that I have.
It's a better understanding of yourself.
Yeah.
That's good.
Basically.
So what's the plan for the year? I know you said Make Your Move is coming out in March, and then is the goal to kind of just focus on maybe producing some more releases? Do you want to take your time with those? Are you going to try to put out an album, an LP, maybe focus on Twitch?
Okay, so right now the only thing I have lined up is Make Your Move, which will be coming out in March. And I do have a little Christmas song that'll be coming out in December.
Okay.
Like a nice little Christmas song.
A little Christmassy song.
Yeah.
Okay. Festive.
And then, honestly, just depending on, you know, if this whole entire quarantine will be off or not.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what's going to base our decisions and moving forward.
Right.
My manager did talk to me about possibly performing in March, April, but we don't even know if that's going to happen because of like the quarantine and, you know,
if anything I can only think of is maybe if you go like out of state. Are you trying to stay local to California, Los Angeles, and kind of keep your
I do for now,
following
yes,
around here?
But for future, I want to be
Of course.
global,
of
baby.
Of course. And you will be global.
And I will be global.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
yes. You know who you are, and you have an idea. I've seen a lot of artists. I've talked to a lot of people that it is bullshit what they're saying, and I can hear that they don't even believe in the shit that they're saying, but there seems to be like a good structure of how you want to kind of move forward, because you have to adjust now.
Yes.
Things aren't how they used to be. You can't just be the same artist you used to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're always constantly growing. There's always room for growth. You never stop growing. You never stop learning. Ever.
I agree, especially as an artist, because if you stay the same, then people are going to get kind of sick of your stuff.
Then you get boring.
So are you a fan of the holidays? What is it with the Christmas? Like, is it just that time of year and you're like, I should put something out that's kind of festive-y, or?
Honestly, it was not my idea.
Whose idea was it?
My manager.
Okay.
He suggested that I do a Christmas song, so I'm like, okay.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
No, honestly, I was really shocked at how good it came out. I was like, okay.
That's even better than you expected.
Yeah.
That's good.
And it's an acoustic, so it's like,
Ooh.
yeah, it's nice.
Interesting.
You'll like
Is it acoustic?
It's like
it's festive.
It's
but it
festive.
Still keep into like the R&B urban type?
Yes.
Or,
Yes. So it's like my version of a Christmas song.
Right. I'm interested. I want to hear what you
Yeah.
got.
It's good.
So let me see here. What's to come? We already talked about next year. Your artist, your growth. So you've seen how you've developed, over the last 20 years.
Yes.
From when you were in kindergarten, you went through the professional training. There was never a point where you were thinking of doing anything else, it seems like.
No.
What was that like? Because there's always, especially having parents like coming to the U.S. Were your parents born here? Or your parents
from my parents are born here.
Your parents are born here.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably already had like hey, we want you to be a success. We want you to focus on one thing or another, and they maybe weren't expecting you to go down the musical route.
When I told them I wanted to be my own artist, they weren't surprised at all. They were just encouraging me. They're like, okay, go for it. Like, do it. But then at the end of the day, like, you yourself have to be the one motivating you. Like, you have to be your own cheerleader. You have to keep up that drive and that motivation. I will say that my parents placed that seed for me and nurtured it and allowed me to grow. Now that I'm becoming an adult, it's challenging, but it's very worth it.
Good. So it's all on you now.
It's all on me.
Yeah.
It is all. I'm an adult. Yeah, like, exactly. You left the nest. Like, that's it.
Yeah. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
I will say there were times when I went against it and I didn't work on my career.
What was pulling you away from it?
My situation at home, that was difficult for me because my parents were getting divorced around that time. So I stopped singing for 4 years, and one of my friends from high school, she was like, you want to be an artist, but you can't sing karaoke in front of everyone? And at the time, we were at prom. I'm like, you mother?
Called me out.
She did call me out.
Yeah.
I literally walked up stage and I grabbed the mic. At
prom?
At prom.
Sick.
I just went up there. I was like, give me this mic.
Hell yeah.
And I just started singing, and then from there on, everything just went.
It just re-clicked to you? So you said 4 years, so it sounds like going into high school is when you kind of were trying to not do it as much, and you were just going through the high school stuff?
I was focused more on dancing and sports.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. But
yeah.
The music, what was it about singing that you decided to kind of like leave away, but you still kept the dancing and stuff?
Honestly, I think what had happened was I got stage fright my 8th grade year.
Ooh.
I think that's what happened.
Very pivotal time before you go into high school.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't do well on stage, and I got scared. And then on top of that, my parents were going through a divorce, so I never really had motive. Yeah, I just wasn't motivated to do anything until my senior year.
Shout out to that girl for calling her out.
Ivory,
shout out to her for calling her out. You brought it back. You
brought
Bianca back.
You brought me back, baby.
You brought me back. So after your prom performance, it really did like instill like, hey, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Like, I do want to be.
Yeah, because I was also depressed too, because I wasn't creating.
Right. It was all bottled up in you, and then once you started kind of letting everything go,
everything just.
Yeah, that's what they say a lot. I mean, with depression, a lot of people that they say like kind of just put it out there, whether it's writing something down, writing music, singing, expressing yourself, but to keep everything bottled up like kind of doesn't help your situation.
No, it doesn't. I actually saw, this was last year, for a full entire year, I put myself through counseling.
Okay. What was that experience like?
It was hard. that was really brutal.
Mentally? Like hard for you to decide to keep showing up and keep...
Yeah, mentally. I just checked out. There was even a point when I wasn't even talking to my family.
Oh, that's stressful.
Yeah, I was just like in my own bubble, in my own thoughts, like trying to figure it out. But I did all that work, and now I'm like this beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, you were wrapped in a cocoon, stressed and out. I don't want to talk to anybody. Leave me alone. And then slowly, like, I am back. Okay, so the experience, it's hard to go. You go through the hard shit. You go through stuff that you don't want to, and it makes you uncomfortable. But you always come out on the other side.
Yes, life is gonna throw shit at you. It's your job to handle it in a good way, in a good manner. Love yourself, love your body, love who you are. You represent yourself. Be a light. I always tell myself, like, I am a light. Whoever meets me is lucky, and whoever I meet I'm very lucky too. Like, we're all so special.
And I think the way you think, it kind of makes it easier for you to weed out the bad people in your life, because you can meet people when you do have such a positive light and you have positive energy, and you meet someone that doesn't match that.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
You sound very adamant about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I'm like, beep beep.
Yeah, you can spot them. You can read people as you get older, like, a lot better. And obviously, like, you don't really need as many people as you did when you were younger, because when you were younger, you kind of seek the validation and you want to be friends with it. Well, at least for me, like, you just want to be friends with everybody.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, everyone wants to be cool. And then slowly, as you get older, you're like, I only like 2 or 3 people. And
waste time.
Yeah,
waste time.
Exactly.
Waste energy.
Yeah, waste of energy. That's huge. Wasting energy and dealing with people that don't have that same spark, that same drive, the same energy as you is exhausting. And
I think that was one thing during quarantine, is what I had to let go, and what I realized. The people, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was partying a little bit, and stepping
during quarantine or before.
And stepping out of it, it was just like a wake-up call for me. I'm like, these people that I was hanging out with don't really matter.
Yep.
The people that really love me are my friends, and my really good friends, and my family, and my 2 dogs.
And your 2 dogs, they weren't there at the partying, but they're at the house partying.
They're waiting for me.
But it's kind of crazy, because I did see that, obviously, like, I'm involved with house music industry, and you see when things stopped. I mean, everybody that kind of there was a show every night, every day. There's another party in LA. You can go to someone's warehouse party, whatever. And those people that you see, everyone's like, oh, like, we have a community of friends, we have a community of people. And then once everyone got into lockdown, you really saw no one was there. No one of the people that you did, like, reached out. Everyone's they went into their own world. Yeah. Except for the people that you really do have that connection with.
Yes. And, that was the big wake-up call for me. But I needed it. I needed it so that I can refocus what is really, truly important to me.
Because you're the most important person in your world. Absolutely.
Yes.
I agree with that. I say that from the bottom of my heart. You are the most important person in your own story. Whether people like you or not, doesn't fucking matter. But
who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? If you're doing what you're doing and you like it and you kind of find yourself in it, that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
And then you're just going to keep, attracting people into your life that are going to flourish what you want to create for yourself.
I love that.
Oh,
that's awesome. Well, where can people find you on social media, on SoundCloud and music, stuff like that? Where do you prefer to direct them?
So you can check me out on Instagram. I'm on there very often. Spotify as well. But you can just Google me, Bianca Varela. Varela is spelled V as in Victor, Arela. I
love it. Any shout outs? Anyone you want to give some love to?
Shout out to my babe, my quarantine babe.
Stud. Look at him.
Ciao. Shout out to my friends, my family, the people that truly believe in me and for always supporting me. The people that I've talked their ears out and just listening to me. Thank you for listening to me. And I love you guys, and I hope you guys have happy holidays. And happy holidays to you.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for your time. I know it's been kind of hectic, and now Thanksgiving's going to come, so I wanted to make sure we at least got this in. But I appreciate your time, and thank you guys for tuning in.